Well, it's buffering, but it should be live in a second. Yeah, we're live.
Nice
Okay.
one, man. We're live. Thank you very much, buddy. Good morning,
Cool.
everyone. How are we? What's happening? What's going down? We are getting pummeled with snow over here today. I don't think we're going far. I know you're saying it's still icy up your way, isn't it, man?
Yeah, it's icy and the snow on the ground. It's not dropping down yet, but I'm expecting it to pretty shortly.
Yeah, I'm going to
So we'll
send
see.
this up your way, man. I'm going to send it your way.
Nice. Yeah, I like it.
But yeah,
Last couple of days have been crazy,
yeah,
snow
yeah,
wise.
it's been awful, you know. Just be careful if you are still going out for a walk, stuff like that, you know. I know a lot of us have got responsibilities, you know, dog walking, stuff like that we've got to go out no matter what the weather's like. Just be careful, you know. Obviously, just watch what's underfoot, watch out for ice, stuff like that. Nobody wants any trips to accident emergency that we can avoid at the minute, you know. So yeah, just keep your eyes peeled, play it safe, and still get what exercise you can. Nice one, cool. Right, so just a little bit of a recap from last week then before we launch in, buddy, if we can just hit that first slide. So last week we looked mainly at sort of health and safety in a fitness environment. How do we do exercise and fitness in sort of like in a safe way, especially when we're going into a gym, something like that? Because when you go to a gym or a fitness class, I think it's all too easy to just say, right, the responsibility for my well-being is now with the trainer. It's with whoever's running the class, the instructor, and to an extent it is, you know, they're there, the professionals have got to keep you safe, but of course you've got responsibilities that sort of fall on yourself as well. So if you want to go back and recap anything from last week, the video's there. If you don't have the link, let me know and I'll hook you up with that. We looked at the importance of a warm-up and a cool-down as well, you know, especially at the minute when we might be going into exercise from a little bit more sedentary point of view. You know, if you go to the gym or if you exercise at the end of a work day and you've been, I don't know, maybe it's in the factory, or if you've been a little bit more active throughout the day, you maybe a little bit more warmed up. At the minute, it's all too easy to sit down pretty much most of the day and then go, right, I'm going to do some exercise now. And you think, oh, I'm just going to do some light exercise or whatever. I'm just in the house. I'll not warm up. And of course, you're more likely to get an injury, end up hurting yourself, and put yourself off from doing it in future as well. You know, it only takes you to get a little bit of a pain, a little bit of a niggle. You might miss a week or two, and it's so much harder to get back into it. You know, Daniel, I don't know if you've ever been doing something similar where you sort of like just getting into a new routine. It doesn't even necessarily have to be fitness-wise, you know, but I know that you do a little bit of training as well. If you've ever had a setback early doors, it just knocks the wind out your sails, doesn't it?
Totally, man. And I think with what you're saying as well, it's even more potent because it's like not only are people sedentary for most of the day, with it being so cold outside, I think as well. So if you go out for a run when it's like that cold, I think that can kind of affect your muscles a bit as well, right?
Yeah,
So
yeah. I mean, even sitting around the house, you know, I think that's a really good point as well. Sort of the temperature that you're going into with your muscles at the minute. You know, I've even found myself, I'm at home a lot more over this winter than I was last winter. So you've got, obviously, you've either got the heating on a little bit more, financial implications, or you're thinking to yourself, right, you know, I'm gonna obviously like just put a jumper on, something like that, put another layer on. Then you go to exercise, and yeah, you are that little bit colder. You know, your joints, your muscles, and you want to make sure that they're warmed up as well. And then, of course, when you're done your exercise, you want to make sure you cool down. You know, take as much tension off your joints and stuff as you can. You know, we said last week that there's no definitive link between sort of cooling down and not aching and having sort of like muscle soreness the next day. You know, that's kind of natural, but it can take a lot of strain off your joints. It can help your posture out. So yeah, whenever you're done, make sure you're cooling down. We looked at PAR-Qs as well, you know, sort of a part of a process you might go when you start a new fitness program, be it with a personal trainer, maybe it's a new sort of group, like a set of classes. It could just be joining a gym. You know, you'll fill in a PAR-Q that says that you are ready to take part in physical activity pretty much, and you'd be sent off to a doctor to sort of get that reassurance if you needed it, or if the trainer thought that you needed it. And then a gym induction, you know, we'd sort of look briefly at a gym induction, what to expect, what it is on the surface. You know, you get you showing around a couple of machines, and really it's looking a bit deeper. It's that chance to build a connection with like a member of staff, somebody from the gym, somebody that you're going to feel comfortable going and asking questions later on. You know, if anything, sort of what I said last week, you can get an idea what the gym staff's going to be like as well, what that gym experience is going to be. You know, if you're getting an induction and they don't seem that bothered, it's like this does this does that, that does that, see you later. Are you going to join that gym? You know, are you going to feel comfortable going up to that person in 2 months' time and saying, right, the exercises that I knew have stopped working, or I've sort of plateaued, I'm not pushing it, making any more progress, can you help me out? Is that somebody that you're going to feel comfortable going and asking for help? You know, that's something to consider, you know, when we're looking at gym memberships and even instructors and class instructors and stuff like that. You know, cool. So, yeah, just a little recap from last week. Again, that's there if you do want to go back and go over any of that. Okay, buddy. Rolling on from there then. I'm just trying to keep one eye on the chat as well on my phone. Morning, Hatham. Oh, morning, Darren. Morning, Darren. Nice to have you in, man. Hope you're well.
Darren,
yeah, cool. So what we're going to be looking at today, guys, we're going to be looking at sort of time management. You know, how that can help us be a little bit more active. Just be that little bit healthier as well. You know, that can come down to making sure you've got time to exercise, to making sure you've got time to meal prep and setting aside separate time for that. You know, making sure that you're fitness ready, you've got the right clothing, you've got the right kit that you need. You know, me and Hatham mentioned the other week, at the minute, you know, we're very limited in the sort of training that we can do. It's all well and good saying, right, we can get out for a walk, we can get out for a run. If all your fitness has been gym-based and you're used to training in shorts and a string vest, it's not running a tyre. It's definitely not running a tyre in the middle of January, start of Feb, you know. So, yeah, we've obviously got to make sure we've got the right equipment as well to make sure we can do it safely. Then we've got a little bit of self-reflection, you know, improving on your own strengths and looking at identifying areas where we can improve as well, you know, because I think it's something that we've mentioned before as well. You know, we've all got strengths, we've all got weaknesses. Being able to identify those, it can give you goals to work towards, it can give you stuff that's maybe a little bit more achievable right now, and it all just comes from a place of self-reflection, you know. And I would say that goes for anything. It's not just in the fitness environment. A little bit of self-reflection is really good. It's sort of analysing where you are right now, where you'd like to go, and what progress you'd like to make. You know, I think we can probably all agree that having some goals and targets to work towards is really important, no matter what we're doing. You know, give us a little bit of a sense of purpose, you know.
Definitely.
Yeah, I just seen Hatham's mentioned there. We've got all the videos in the playlist, and my emails there as well. If you can't find them, what I'm going to do once I've got all the surveys attached that we need, I'm just going to send all the links out to all the weeks that we've done so far, and then you've got everything that you need, workbooks, just in case you are catching up. So just so you're not pulling like, where's that email that had that workbook on, where's that email that had that on, you know, I'll just put it all in one email and blast out everybody once I've got it. So yeah, don't worry, those other sessions are there if this is the first one that you're jumping in on. Cool. Right, Daniel, I don't know if you've had a look through the PowerPoint this morning, but we've got a little bit of a curveball. We're going to do some charades to get us going.
Cool. Yeah, all good.
We're going to do some charades to wake us up. Okay, so we've got your thinking hat on this morning, man. So we're going to be looking at, you know, either a piece of the fitness clothing, a fitness class, names of exercises, types of fitness, sports, piece of fitness equipment, yeah. I've got a couple. Daniel, if you think of any, by all means, chuck them in, man. I'm always game for a little bit charades. Right, Darren. Let's see if you can get a couple of these as well. And Hatham if you're kicking about. Cool. Right, so I'm going to go first one, yeah. Okay. Any ideas?
It's that's the it's protein. Well, okay, hold on. Let's see. I'll see if anyone else has got anything in the chat. Give it a second.
Yeah.
I've got an idea.
What do you reckon, guys? Yeah, I'm terrible at charades, man. I'm absolutely terrible. So I'll be surprised if anybody does get any. If you don't, it's probably on me, not on you.
But yeah, like I said, I think I've got an idea of what it might be.
Yeah, we'll give the guys a minute. So just one more time. And you have to do it like that, otherwise it doesn't work.
That's the way, man.
Hatham says the Macarena, yeah. Confession to make, actually. Someone born in the 90s, I should know the Macarena. I do not know the Macarena. I just don't.
Classic.
Yeah, do you want to have a go, Daniel?
I would say it is, protein shaker.
Yeah, bang on, man, bang on. Really, really helpful. Even just for water on the gym floor. If you're mixing any supplements in, amino acids, or even just your protein. If you've got a protein powder,
Yeah.
trying to supplement your diet a little bit, try and make sure that you're getting enough protein in for recovery, something that we've talked about as well, and just making sure that you're giving your body what it needs post workout. Because we're always saying that we tear in the muscle fibers when we train, and we need them to recover when we come back. And some of the best ways to do that is make sure we're getting a decent whack of protein post workout or post exercise. It doesn't have to be in a shaker, it doesn't have to be a powder. You can go away and have sort of like a high protein meal, but that's really convenient for sort of being on the go. It's quite cost effective as well. If you can get yourself a protein powder or a decent supplement, it can last you a month or two, depending on how you're using it and how often you're using it. So yeah, protein shaker, first one.
So I do one.
Yeah, go on, man. Go on.
Okay, cool. Right. See. Are you ready?
Ready, man.
Okay. Right, hold on. I need to get like a bit more calm action. All right.
Nice,
Okay.
man. Nice.
So you can accept 2 different ones for that. Okay. I'll do one more time. Okay.
Ooh. Have you warmed up? You're gonna hurt yourself there.
I've warmed up.
Oh, what do we reckon, guys? What do we reckon? I've got an idea.
It's not the Macarena.
Yeah, that could be part of the Macarena for all I know.
Ketchup dance. See if anyone can guess.
Yeah.
Well, as I say, I'll accept 2 different answers for that, basically.
Feeling generous this morning, mate.
Feeling generous, yeah.
Cool. Morning, guys. Guys, did you see the last?
And do it again if you want.
Yeah.
A quick one. Gary, see if you can guess this, man.
One more for Gaz's benefit, man. We're playing a little game of charades.
Ready? Wait, pre-12 for what day? Okay.
Oh, the drop at the top as well.
I've totally changed it by doing that. But, okay, so we do. Okay, you do.
Oh man.
All right, cool. So it's yeah. See if you can.
Any stabs in the dark, guys? Any guesses? We'll give it another minute. Got Gary bad here. Oh. The thing, I think it's been that long since anybody's had the equipment to do it that we've all forgotten what it is. Gary says overhead lift.
Yeah, that definitely take that. Yeah, 100%. Yeah, so the answers that I had in mind were type of fitness, could say weightlifting, obviously, a name of an exercise, overhead lift, totally fine. Yeah. So
nice one, man.
Happy with that. Yeah.
Yeah, cool. Good technique as well, man. Good technique. I like it.
I was paranoid, obviously, because dirty with you, so I had to make sure my technique is all right.
Yeah, the breathing down as well. Yeah, the breathing down. You're good. Awesome, man. Awesome. Right, I'm gonna fire another one away. Okay, we're ready.
Yeah. Oh, good man.
Okay. Any guesses?
It's a good one, that one. Good.
What do we reckon, guys? What do we reckon? I guess I'd take 2 answers as well with this one. One that you might do in more of a group setting.
Yeah.
And the other one that you'd be much more likely to go out and do by yourself. So just one more time. Say Gary was straightened on the weightlifting ones there.
Yeah,
But
I knew I'd get that one.
yeah. Oh, give it a minute.
Yeah, so you take 2 for that, yeah?
Yeah. Take 2 answers for that one. Same again. We'll give it a minute. How many of the 2 do you reckon you've got, buddy?
I've got a couple ideas in my head, but I don't know if it's the exact ones you're thinking. But well, I mean, we could have a look in a sec.
Yeah, definitely, man. Right, bud. What do you reckon? What do you reckon with that one?
So I was going to say for sport, we could say cycling. I don't know if you're thinking that. Or was that
bang
right?
on.
And then I would.
Bang on. Yeah.
Yeah, and then for piece of fitness, clothing. I don't know if this is the thing you're thinking, but we could have helmet. But I don't know if that was that answer you had in mind.
You know, to be honest, I hadn't even thought of the actual kit. You know, in the helmet. That's a really good point. I was thinking more spinning, which we could do as a class. You know, we could do as a group. It's a little bit more social. You know, it's probably going to be set to music. That was the way I always used to teach it. Just set it to the beat of the music, and then it's a little bit more engaging as well. Do you know what I mean? It's like it doesn't matter how hard you work, and if you enjoy the song and you're engaged in the song, you're going to work that little bit harder. You know, or we can get out and about, something that's probably a little bit more available. I'd say at the minute. Probably not right now, you know. Same again, we've got to worry about ice on the road, stuff like that, and on the path. But just cycling, you know, getting out and cycling. You know, I've never really been huge into cycling myself, but I like the idea of being able to just take yourself off 20 odd miles, you know, without the car.
Yeah.
And just sort of take it all in.
Definitely.
You know, it's something that I might look to do a little bit more of in the summer. You know, saying on how things pan out, because obviously we're not all lucky enough to have an exercise bike at home or access to a lot of kit and stuff like that, you know. But whereas if you've maybe got an old bike in the garage or in the shed gathering dust or something, as the summer rolls around, we can think about maybe dragging that out, and you know, changing your fitness, because we're all going to be coming out of winter. You know, we've done 3, 4, 5 months where it's been pretty much minging every time we've tried to go outside, you know. And we can really start to enjoy the outdoors, as long as we're doing it safely, you know, and the time's right. You know, that's a really good option that we could maybe start to think about for the summer.
I remember you mentioned, actually, you were saying that your dad had switched from running to biking, and he was doing
mountain biking.
Yeah. And my dad too recently bought a bike, and he's been loving it absolutely. So it's a good one, yeah, definitely.
Yeah. My dad was running quite a lot, and he actually ended up having KO surgery on his knee just because the cartilage was wrecked, and it was all just from like running on pavements and concrete and stuff like that. And we're not really built to do that like all the time, certainly not anymore. You know, and it was just the impact going up through his joints, through his bones and stuff like that. And sooner or later, it catches up with you, you know. Now, I've always said, if you need to be better at running, the only way really to get better at running is to do running. So if you're doing marathons, or even if you're doing a sport, you know, where you're playing a lot of football or something where you're doing a lot of end-to-end, and you are running about quite a lot, it's quite handy to do and do a little bit of.
Yeah.
But the amount of people that I used to see in the gym running on the treadmill for 45 minutes, you know, hammering on their ankles, knees, back. Yeah. And I'd say, why are you in the gym? Oh, I just want to lose a little bit of weight and get fitter. They're like, well, come with me, I'll show you something that we can do that's going to take that strain off, you know, and give you a little bit more longevity. And cycling's a really good one. You know, maybe the gym isn't for you. It's not for everybody. It's obviously inaccessible at the minute, you know. So yes, cycling could be a really good option, sort of coming out of lockdown and into the summer as the weather picks up again a little bit. You know, if you are lucky enough to have an exercise bike in your house, same again, it might be gathering dust, it might be holding clothes, just you know, maybe think about clearing it off and giving it a little bit of use. Especially if you're sick of doing all of the same exercise, you know, body weight exercise in the house, going for a walk. We're all going to be ready for a change in quite soon, you know, even in fitness.
Yeah, man, and it's like what you're saying as well about a treadmill. Obviously, there's no give, is there? It's just flat, like a flat surface. So like when you're running, there's like natural inclines in the road, which is like kind of supporting your legs really more. And you could be running on grass even, and then like, but with a treadmill, it's just like a flat surface that your legs are just like slapping into constantly. So
Yeah, it really is. And again, you know, it has its place. Same as everything in the gym. All the machines, all the bits of kit, they've got their place. The reason that we hit injuries and stuff like that, and maybe don't make progress as fast as we like, is we just putting our attention and our energies into the wrong bit of kit. Maybe like sometimes that's all it can be, you know. So again, like we sort of mentioned yesterday, try not to get dragged into somebody else's way of training or somebody else's way of eating, because it might not necessarily be right for yourself.
definitely. Should we do one more? You reckon?
Yeah, give us one more, man. Give us one more.
All right, let's have it, mate. Right, you ready?
Yeah.
Okay, get my hot hair out. All right, ready?
Oh, class, man, class.
There you go. So you can guess what that is.
Oh, guys, what do we think? What do we think? Oh, mate, top effort as well, man.
Go for it, man. That's the thing, innit? It's like you've got to go full on.
Mate, you got to commit or be committed.
That's it. You know what I mean,
Gary says, I think that one might be swimming just
that's
a little.
it, mate,
Yeah. Well done, guys. Awesome. Yeah. Swimming is absolutely amazing. Even just in terms of getting you a little bit more fit, a little bit more active, because the water is weight bearing. It takes all of that impact that we were just on about from running and being on a treadmill and stuff like that. The water actually takes that away from your joints and supports you a little bit more. So you can get in the swimming pool and try running on the spot. It's going to be harder because you've got the water resistance to work against.
Yeah.
But at the same time, you're not coming down and landing on your knees, on your ankles every time, stuff like that. I used to actually, it's not strictly swimming, but I used to actually work with a blind lady in the gym, and I was working on helping her develop her balance. And one of the best things that I ever did with her really was take her in a swimming pool where she couldn't fall over. And you know them floats that you get that always want to spring up to the surface? I'd go down and put one of them under her feet, and she'd stand on it. And because that's trying to rise to the surface, her balance is all over the place. She can learn to make them little corrections and them little adjustments without the fear of falling over.
Yeah.
You know, so it takes that away as well. You know, if you maybe is not so confident on a bit of cardio equipment, you know, the rower, the treadmill, because of course there's risks associated with these things, which is why we have to do our risk assessments in our PARQs. And not that isn't the case with swimming as well, but swimming can actually take a lot of those away. Again, it's kind of off limits right now. You know, I know that when we did kind of open up again between, I think it was lockdown 1 and lockdown 2, we had one of our learners that has actually started doing a lot of swimming, and it's actually helped her lose a lot of weight. She was saying that you were allowed to go in the pool, but you were having to get changed sort of poolside.
Yeah.
I don't know if that was just it's sort of saved from having to keep on top of the changing rooms and stuff like that as well, you know, and cleaning them down every hour, every half an hour. But of course, that's not everybody's ideal swimming experience either, you know, getting changed at poolside and all of that. You know, you maybe leaving, you're still half wet, still got wet hair. Hopefully, as things open up again, you know, we'll be able to feel a little bit more confident going into environments like that and making sure that they're safe. But again, you know, when in a normal environment, the benefits of swimming are just absolutely amazing. They really are, you know. I think I've mentioned a couple of times there's a group over at Seaham, and it's pretty much every day, but we used to catch them sort of every week when we used to go over, and they go down for 5-6 o'clock Friday tea time. This was October, November, this as well.
Yeah.
Just go in the sea, just down to the cozzies in the sea, have a little bit of a swim, bring your body temperature down a little bit. Again, you know, not saying get out there and go jump in the North Sea. I've done it. It's cold, man. But you know, that sort of thing, it can be really good as sort of even just like a stress reliever and stuff like that as well. You know, so you know, we might be sort of thinking to ourselves, great, you know, things are going to open up again eventually. I'm not going to be in a position where I need to do all my exercise in the house. And thinking about where you're going to direct your energies after that is sometimes a little bit overwhelming, I think. You know, it is something that we mentioned, I think, a couple of sessions ago, looking at what's available near us, albeit it might be closed at the minute, and we could start gathering information about these different areas, you know, and find out what's going to suit you. You know, maybe get yourself signed up for an emailing list or something, so they can let you know when the classes are back on, or when the walking group's going to be sort of getting together again every Sunday. You know, there's something out there for everybody to be just that little bit more active. And you know, now's the best time to look. You know, we've got time to sort of have a little bit of a think, do some research, and see what is out there and what's going to be available when we get back on towards a little bit more normality as well. You know, cool. So there's lots out there. We don't have to be pigeonholed into just like the gym or fitness classes and stuff like that, because I'm well aware that that's not for everybody, you know. Okay, buddy. Well, I appreciate that, man. I appreciate a couple to work on there. Let's roll on then, buddy. Let's roll on.
Cool.
So just looking a little bit of time management. You know, it's a skill. It's a skill that we have to work on. You know, we're not born with a natural sort of ability to just manage your time effectively, responsibly, and it can have big sort of impacts on your fitness as well. But just thinking about time management in general, you know, it's really important. Obviously, when it comes to decision making, you know, you're thinking. You might have deadlines to hit. You might think, right, I've got to make this decision by this point, or it's going to be made for me. You know, we're looking at a little bit of prioritizing, thinking, right, what's most important, what maybe needs doing first. You know, what needs to be finished first. I'm going to work on that, and then give yourself a little bit of a list to work through. Find sometimes helping, like working a little bit more organized as well, and being like, right, I'm going to do this, then this, then this. Helps the whole thing feel a lot more structured and manageable as well. You know, it might just be me. I don't know if you're the self, buddy, but I feel like just absolute chaos if I don't know like where things are. Stuff's not written down.
Yeah.
It's just all over the place. I have to, like, people used to say like, Rob, you're so organized. I'm like, no, I'm so disorganized that I have to be extra organized to stay on top of things. That's what it is, you know, and that applies to all sorts. You know, it could be work, it could be studies, it can be relationships as well. You know, what do I need to prioritize? What's most important in terms of time management? What do I need to do first? Then looking at the next one, which I'll admit isn't a strong point of mine, and that's multitasking. You know, being able to say, right, I've got, rather than say standing there and watching your rice boil for 20 minutes while you're doing some meal prep. You know, the old saying, is it a watched pot never boils?
Right, I've never heard that, but that sounds right though. To be fair, because I do that all the time.
Yeah, you just come on, man, come on.
You're so hungry, and you just start looking at it.
Yeah, and then you're thinking to yourself, right, after I've eaten, I've got to do these dishes. I've got to whip the hoover around. I've got to wipe the sides down. And then you might think to yourself, well, that's doing that.
Yeah.
And can I come away and do that as well? Do you know what I mean? Can I do that? Then when my meal's done, it frees me up some time afterwards.
Everybody's obviously different and people work in different ways, but one thing that personally works for me like that is I don't like to sit down. Like I'll explain what I mean. Like, say if I do one task, I try to do the other task after it. Like, so say as you were saying, like I'll have my food and then I'll do the dishes straight away. Or if I come in from work and I know there's something I need to do, I'll make sure I do it first, because once I sit down, I feel like once you stop, it's harder to start again. That's basically the crux of it. So I just like to, when I'm in the zone, I like to try and capitalize on that as much as possible.
Yeah, 100%, man. I think of it as momentum.
Yeah.
You know, I always class it as momentum. Like the ball's rolling, I'm up, I'm on my feet. You know, can I do this now? If it means because we all like to sort of settle down, get comfy when all the jobs are done, get your feet up, whatever it is, a little bit of relaxing time. It's as important as exercise, I would say, a little bit of downtime as well. Nobody likes to get comfy and then think, oh, I've got to get up and do that.
Yeah,
I've got to
exactly.
go and do that. I wish I'd done that while I was stood up.
You
you
know it.
know and you can actually free yourself up some time, in that little bit of time management. That doing those jobs before you sit down might give you the evening to relax. So you go to bed in a more calm state, you get a better sleep,
Yeah,
you wake up in the next day primed to succeed, to whatever it is that you want to do. You're setting yourself up for a good day,
100%.
and giving yourself the best chance. And like we say, that in itself can be the difference, between a good day and a bad day.
Exactly.
I just say, Wib's getting in the chat. Morning, Wib. Nice to have you
Morning,
back.
Wib, yeah.
We are just on about a little bit of time management and making sure that we're giving ourselves the best chance to do what we need to do stress-free, because we all know if you leave stuff till the last minute, it's 10 times more stressful than if you've just done it. At the end of the day, if it needs doing before deadline, why leave it till sort of the hour before? A little bit of problem solving as well, thinking about giving yourself time to react to any problems that might get in the way. I'll be honest, hands up, I've done this in the past. You leave something till the last minute, you go to do it, and then you're like, this snag has come up that I didn't foresee coming up. Now I can't do my plan, and I'm not so confident in getting this done in time.
Yeah.
You give yourself a little bit more time, you can work through sort of them hitches, them problems, them setbacks, all of that sort of thing. So even then, maybe setting yourself time to work through something. If you've got yourself a little bit stressed there and then, if you're thinking to yourself, do you know what, I'm ready to chuck this across the room, or I'm ready to whatever. Sometimes good to step away from the problem,
For sure.
calm down, and then think with a little bit more of a rational mind. And if you haven't exercised good time management, you might not have the time to do that. That extra time might not be available to you.
Definitely right, bud.
Yeah. We sort of touched on earlier on the importance of goal setting.
Yeah.
And I always like to, when it comes to time, I always like to think of goals as sort of being time specific. It doesn't have to be by this exact day, by this exact time, but having something to work to goal wise and put a deadline on it, I think helps motivate you a lot more and keep you a little bit more honest. If you think to yourself, right, I'm going to lose a stone, it's like, by when? How are you going to lose a stone? What's your plan? Like, how are you going to do it? When are you going to do it by? By that reckoning, in 6 months' time, you can be the same weight and you haven't failed a goal. Do you know what I mean? You haven't missed a goal. You haven't hit a goal. Because hitting a goal, I'd say, is probably more valuable than missing one. It reinforces what you're doing.
Definitely.
It's a thing to be celebrated as well. And I find that, like I say, just being time specific and saying, right, I'm going to have this done by the end of the week, rather than I'm going to get this done. It lights a fire under your backside a little bit more.
Definitely does. I think breaking goals into like increments as well. So having like after 2 weeks you want to lose a pound or whatever. I think like that's good, because when you've got the main goal and it's so far away, it can seem quite daunting. Whereas if you have break it into increments, you're like, well, I've done this bit now, so you've met a goal, then the next bit, and it kind of keeps the motivation going.
Yeah, it makes you feel a little bit. It makes the whole thing feel a little bit more manageable as well, doesn't it? And then, like you say, it's just that little bit like, right, I've sort of I've hit a goal. I've achieved something. I've achieved something on my path. Why am I going to stop now? I'm going to roll on to the next one. I think of hitting a goal as, I used to play Mario Kart. You'd hit the little speed boosts.
Yeah.
That's the way I see them. Like, you've hit a goal, it's like boom, off you go to the next one. Yeah, you might slow down a little bit towards the edge. You're not going to be coasting that momentum quite as much, but every one you hit, you just going to speed rocket to where you want to be. And again, it all comes from a little bit of time management and just maybe organising things a little bit more. And then we've actually got something called delegation, which is maybe just reassigning certain things to maybe sort of the relative people. You might get it within a company, and you might hold a job where you say, right, your sort of staff needs to get this done. How do like just make sure he gets it done, and it might be left on you to sort of divide who does what job. Same again, deadlines. When do we need this doing by? You know, and that in itself can actually save you a little bit of time as well. You know, if you're maybe struggling for time and there's someone who can help you out, or there's someone you can say, look, would you mind doing this for me? Doesn't even necessarily need to be delegation. You know, it could be just asking a favor of somebody. You know,
Yeah, exactly.
I've heard of groups of say four mums
Yeah.
who all want to go to the gym. They all want to train together, but they've all got at least a kid. You know, they've at least got a child that needs looking after. So what they might do would be like, they might put themselves together like a 4-day training week, and just each night one of the mums stays home and watches the kids. You know, just like a creche, like a play date. The other 3 go. The next night someone else takes a turn, and they'll do a different session or something like that. You
That's
know,
pretty cool, yeah.
that sort of thing can be really helpful. Again, it's time management. You've gone from having maybe four parents who say, I just don't have time to get to the gym, to 4 parents who are getting to the gym at least 3 times a week for an hour. You know, and that is a massive difference. That's a good starting point for anybody. You know, starting to move into fitness and trying to be a little bit more active. I would never say jump in at 5, 6, 7 days a week, because you're just kind of sicking yourself off. You know, the same sort of applies where you want everything to be sort of sustainable. You want it to be manageable, and you want it to be little changes from the way that you used to live in, rather than just taking your life, flipping it upside down on its head and saying, right, I just live like this now. You know, it'll only last so long. It really will only last so long. But, you know, doing things small, sustainably, and like I say, just asking for a little bit of help where you can. You know, again, it doesn't even necessarily have to be fitness related. You know, it can be maybe asking a parent to babysit for one night while you get a good night's sleep. You know, if you've got a newborn or anything like that, you know, saying to a neighbour, I'm going to the shop. Do you want anything getting while I'm there? Save you a trip out. You know, could probably be doubly beneficial at the minute.
Yep.
You know, it's cutting down to 50% less people going to the shops. You know, certainly can't hurt at the minute. You know, if we are just taking time to knock on a neighbour and say, do you need anything from the shop or anything like that, we can actually save each other a whole lot of time. You know, and who wouldn't like more time to do what we need to do? You know, exactly. I'm sure we all have times where we feel like we don't have enough time to do what we need to do. So. Right. How do we think that we can apply this time management to our fitness journey a little bit more? You know, I know I've mentioned a couple of examples there, but between you guys in the chat, can we think of anything else? Any other ways that we can maybe apply some good time management to our own fitness journeys?
I would say a good one is kind of having a routine or a schedule. So it's like, you know, that at that time that you're going to do that thing. So it's instead of kind of, you know, saying, okay, I fancy it today or I don't fancy it today. If you kind of, obviously it's subject to change depending on what's going on in your life. But if you say, right, every Monday I'm going to go to the gym after work, then you've got that routine, and then you've starting to build, you know, a schedule, or you're starting to form a routine, so you become used to it, and it gets easier and easier. You know, so I think that kind of having some kind of like a bit of a routine is important.
That's bang on, mate. Yeah, you know, like, and then like you say, every time you go to the gym on a Monday, you reinforce that habit, don't you? So it gets to the point where Monday comes around and you have a day that you don't want to go to the gym. Motivation's not there, but you know it's Monday, it's gym day. You know, I think that's a big part in pursuing fitness is in that, you know, we can all do it when we feel motivated. You know, we can all do the workouts and the healthy diet when we feel motivated. Where the real progress is made is doing it on the days that we don't want to, I would say. Sorry. You know, and if you can train yourself and teach yourself to stick to a schedule, whether that motivation's there or not, yeah, it's going to be difficult at first. But if you can get used to that schedule, sooner or later, it'll stick, you know, and even making it that little bit more specific. If you know Monday is chest day, you might actually spend Monday looking forward to getting to the gym, you know?
I don't know why Monday is like universal chest and buys day for some reason. But,
it is, yeah. You try and get a bench on there. You try and get a bench on a Monday for chest press, man.
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't know what that is. I don't know where that comes from, to be honest. I think it's one that certainly guys enjoy doing a lot more.
Yeah,
Because it's a muscle that you can show off. Your pecs, your shoulders, stuff like that. They look good in the mirror when you've worked on them.
yeah,
And I don't know if it's just a case of I've had a weekend. I've maybe had a guilty weekend. I've got to go back to the gym. I'm going to do something that I like on a Monday because it gets me
could
back
be.
into routine. Maybe at the same time you might get to a Thursday and you know that it's legs day, the dreaded legs day that we all shy away from. And again, if you are just thinking to yourself on a random day, oh, I'm going to go to the gym and do legs today, oh, that means squats, that means lunges, you're more likely to talk yourself out of it.
Definitely, yeah.
Same again, coming back to what Daniel says about the routine and stuff like that. If you were to just say like Thursday's legs day, again, it gets to the point where you don't have to be looking forward to it. You just know that you're going to go and do it,
Exactly, yeah.
and you going and doing anything is better than talking yourself out of it and not doing anything.
True. Exactly right, mate.
Yeah, bang on. Um, what about you guys in the chat? Can we think of anything else? Just off the top of our heads, how can we take that time management and use it to help our own fitness? It doesn't necessarily have to be around exercise. We could look at making sure that you've got and setting aside time to meal prep, maybe. Meal prep can be quite, especially when you're first getting into it, it would be quite like an overwhelming thing, and feel like it's going to take a load of time because you're thinking to yourself, right, I've got to set aside one whole afternoon to stand in the kitchen and do a load of cooking.
Definitely.
At first, that like I say, that can seem quite daunting. You may be struggling to find that time. At the same time, that block of time can save you not only needing to cook every day, every night. It's also going to stop you going for takeaways and the wrong foods on nights where you haven't got anything prepared and you're getting hungry. It's going to free you up a lot more time. You're not going to need to wash up pots and pans every time that you've cooked. That might save you 10-15 minutes out of your night. That might be that 15 minutes might be enough time to get you walking or to get in like a hit workout in the house.
Definitely, mate.
There's a lot of ways that meal prepping and taking just a block of time to do a load of meal prep, even if you split it into like 2 times of the week. Don't do a whole week's worth in one go. Do it on a Sunday night maybe for Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, or even just Monday, Tuesday at first. Give yourself just that experience of, right, I've cooked today and I know that tomorrow's is done. Just try and get in the habit of doing like the next day's food while you're on as well. I tell you what, if that, just getting a Tupperware out the fridge and sticking it in the microwave or just warming something up again and not having a sink full of washing up to do, if that doesn't sell meal prep to you, I don't know what will.
No.
You know?
That's, yeah. Cause it's as you're saying, once you start that, then like that's when it's going to become easier and you realize how convenient it is and how much time you're actually saving on it. Then
Yeah.
It's going to get much easier.
Yeah, you might, and I'm aware we don't all necessarily have weekends in the strict sense, but just thinking, for example, you might have a Saturday off to relax, do a few jobs around the house, this, that, and the other. Even if you have a busy Saturday, you can have most of Sunday to relax maybe, and you might only need to take 3 hours out of that Sunday to set yourself up for the week, and like you say, just the convenience of it, gives you a lot more control with your food as well. You know what's going in, you know what you're going to be eating for however many days you've meal prepped. It can be good at giving you some variety if you can prep a few meals at once, or each week do a few meals but do a different meal each week. A little bit of variety, you're much more likely to stick to your diet. You get home and you think to yourself, oh God, I've got to cook sweet potato and chicken again tonight. You're more likely to stray from that. If that's already cooked in the fridge or in the freezer, yeah, you're much more likely to just go and grab it rather than cooking something else, or especially waiting on a takeaway coming.
It's a good little
Okay.
bit. It's a good little like idea if you want to start like your own business as well, because you can do it from your home. And there's people pay a lot of money for like prepared meals and stuff. Like people pay like for their week to have their meals like made for them. Um, you could probably make like quite a bit of money off it.
Do you know what, mate? You can, and there's a lot of companies that are sort of up and coming doing that sort of thing.
Yeah.
Um, we used to actually, when I used to work in a gym through in Sunderland, I think there's one, Churchill's Butchers, I think. I'm trying to think where they are, but anyway, they used to do these just amazing meal preps, and you can either subscribe
Yeah.
you know, and you actually give them, or some of them help you work out your macronutrient requirements, and they actually make sure that your macros are worked out. So there's going to be this much protein in each meal, this many carbs, this much fat.
It's amazing.
You know, obviously we pay for convenience, and of course, um, you know, that is actually saving you a lot of time, and potentially money in the long run as well. You know, we used to go down and just get our dinner from there because
Yeah.
they just knock up some really good meals. But again, you know, like Daniel says, looking at it from the business point of view, there's no reason why we couldn't be doing that. You know, I think people are still exercising. People obviously still training. You know, maybe supplements and stuff like that's harder to get hold of. I'm sure people would still be happy to be paying for just food, like I say, totally convenient, delivered to your doorstep, no washing up, no need to worry about what you're eating. It's just there, you know.
Yeah.
It's a really good idea. Of course, it's not. It wouldn't even be necessarily the ideal for everybody, you know.
Yeah.
I think there's a lot to be learned from engaging with your own food and learning part of the meal prep process, you know. For as much as it's nice to just have it handed to you carefree, you don't need to know about it. It's handy to know about it, you know, definitely. So maybe do a little bit of both, you know. You know, it's something that I'll speak about with some of the guys in the drop-ins on a Monday morning. You know, I'll have a big crack. Have you tried any more recipes out? You know, I'll mention it. I know Charlotte's one for going away and just grabbing a new recipe off something like Pinterest, off the internet. Just give it a go, try it once, you either like it or you don't, you know. And she's managed to make a lot of change to her diets just from trying different meals that she might not have tried otherwise.
It's a good point as well. Yeah.
You know, and you can even, again, coming down to time management, you can even Google recipes that take 10 minutes to cook. You know, if you've got 10 minutes, if you've got half an hour, you can say, right, I've got half an hour, what can I stand and prep? You know, we've got the resources there, and the information is out there. And I know a lot of us at the minute have maybe got the time to be digging through those resources and doing a little bit of our research as well. So that definitely can't hurt. But yeah, time management overall when it comes to our fitness, you know, be it making sure that we've got time to go to the gym. You know, we might decide that we prefer exercising on the morning, and you might think to yourself, right, I've got to start getting up then. You know, if you know to yourself that you're going to come home from work and talk yourself out of going to the gym, maybe try going on the morning. You know, if you're knackered after work. But of course, again, it's like Daniel says, setting yourself up a schedule and sticking to it as best you can. Cool, right. So it just says at the bottom there, depending on your chosen activity, you may need certain footwear or clothing. Some fitness activities need less than others. You know, we had an absolutely beautiful demonstration of some swimming goggles earlier on, and the swimming cap as well. Of course, you know, going swimming, we're looking at a towel as well. You know, potentially like we say, maybe your swimsuit to go with it. And of course, there's a lot of other stuff that we need for other sports as well. You know, suitable clothing. We might be talking about trainers for running. We might be on about hat, scarf, and gloves. Something that's going to keep you warm for getting out and walking at the minute. You know, I think we'd sort of realised the other week, and we'd mentioned that as nice as it is for us to be going out and walking right now, there's a lot of us that's our only form of exercise, and there's a lot of people that aren't geared up for walking over winter. You know, be it walking boots, wellies, waterproofs, thermals, whatever it is. Like I say, if you're used to going down to the gym 5 days a week in your string vest and your shorts, you're not going to be walking very far at the minute. You're really not. And that's something to think about as well. You know, we've got to make sure that we've got the right kit, even if it is just going out for a walk, which I'm aware is our, probably for a lot of us, our main form of exercise at the minute. You know, and that sort of comes back down to suitable footwear as well. You know, if we are in a gym, I have actually had to tell people to leave the gym floor for training in sandals and flip-flops and stuff like that on the dumbbell rack. Do you know what I mean? They're over the dumbbells. There's free weights, there's loose weights ready to slide off of a machine or anything like that. You know, you all see people who are like, yo, you can lift the weight, but as soon as you're done with your reps, it's too heavy to hold on, so you've got to chuck it. Do you know what I mean? It's like, yeah, I'm done with that now, chuck. And you're on the gym floor in flip-flops, it's going to end in tears. Yeah. You know, it's really easy to do so. Again, you know, when it comes to running, you know, I'm sure Hatham would vouch for that. When it comes to running, you want the right trainers. or you want something that's going to absorb the impact a little bit as well, we can actually now get, don't know if you've seen them, they're like, you go to these trainer shops and these trainer outlets, and they've got ways of assessing like the actual shape of your foot.
Yeah, yeah.
Your running style, they'll actually get you
Definitely.
to walk and run,
Yeah.
and they'll actually build your insole
Around your
around that.
feet. Yeah,
You know,
definitely.
it's absolutely amazing. Sort of like the way we can personalize these bits of kit now.
Because some people have a tendency to kind of, most people like, some of them don't run too flat. Well, quite a lot of people don't run like exactly flat, so you'll favor like one side of your foot, I think. Like that's your gait, obviously, and they build your shoes to favor that. And obviously, there's more common types than others, but they can literally build it around your foot, as you're saying, Rob, which is amazing, really. So
It really is, and it's going to save a lot of sort of long-term injuries and stuff like that. Because I can guarantee, if you drive down the road, you drive down a mile-long stretch of road, and you see 20 people out running, all of them are running differently. It's quite. I
yeah,
find it quite amazing, to be honest, how we're all, from an anatomical point of view, how similar we all are. Yet we all move differently.
exactly.
We all run differently. You know, Usain Bolt has got the same legs. He's got the same limbs that I've got. Do you know what I mean? But again, we all just move differently, and that's something that we've got to take into account. And like we say, we can actually do that with some, especially the footwear that we're using these days.
Definitely.
Gary says beady gloves, thick coat, undercoat, thermal pants, thick socks, and a gate as he's walking gear. That's it. It's like a military operation getting out the house some days at the minute.
I know.
You know, and guys, I know that you've got the pooch to get out and walk as well. So again, we don't always have a choice. You know, if we're in that position where we've got to get out, you know, there's another animal that's relying on us. It's our responsibility. We can't afford to say it's too cold, it's wet, I'm not going to go out today, you know. And we've got to have the appropriate sort of equipment for that as well. So suitable footwear's a big one, depending on what it is that you're doing. You know, football boots if you're playing football. You might want trainers on the AstroTurf, anything like that. You know, you see basketballers who wear a lot of high tops, give the ankles a little bit more support. You know, that there's different footwear for different stuff, so that's definitely worth looking into. A water bottle, you know, as much as anything, for all we go on about making sure that you're getting the right food in and stuff like that. You've got to be hydrated as well. You know, and that does come from, like we say, trying to actually being mindful of your water intake for the day, because like if you're not mindful of your water intake, you tend to not get enough. You know, I'd say probably 90% of people I ever took on in the gym weren't drinking enough water. You know, I have days myself where it's harder to get the water in. You know, there's days where I'll use a little bit of squash just to flavour it up a little bit, making sure that I'm still getting like the water in as well.
Yeah.
When it's an option between a little bit of squash or being dehydrated for the day, you know, again, that's a little bit of a no-brainer in my eyes. That might be your biggest sort of reason why you don't drink water.
Yeah.
You know, the taste. If you can start putting maybe some like fruit infusions in, you know, you can get water bottles now that have got like almost like a stem from the lid.
Oh, dude, yes. I've seen a lot of this. Yeah.
Yeah, you can put like lime in, lemon, strawberries, cucumber even, you know,
Yeah.
give the water a little bit of flavour. What I've heard some people mention doing it, as well as getting like a big sort of, almost like just a big container, to be honest. It doesn't need to be anything fancy. Happy days if you've got one like a little pouring taps on the side, like you've got a keg. Just fill that with water, chop some fruit up and just chuck that in, and just leave that in the fridge for the week. You know, at the end of the week, go through the water, tip the fruit out, and it's just so much nicer than just water. You even get like water tea bags now.
Really?
I was training a lady towards the back end of last year, or the start of last year, sorry, when I left the gym. And she started coming in with like, it was like infused water, but she was just putting the tea bag in before a session.
I bet that was blowing your mind when you saw it for the first time.
I was like, what's that? It's like, you bought a brew have you bought a brew with you to the gym? And she's like, no, she was telling us. And she said exactly the same thing, you know. I don't really like the taste of water. This helps me get it in. I said, you know what, whatever works, especially when it comes to stuff like that. But again, thinking about the right equipment. If you're going off to the gym, you're planning on doing an hour. Might be your first time in the gym. Maybe on your induction, you didn't even notice if they had a water machine. You know, some gyms will charge for bottled water, so you might not actually have just like a quid rolling around in the car or in your wallet or whatever to just grab a bottle of water. That's going to get in the way of your workout. It'll either stop your training because you think, oh, I'm thirsty, I haven't got a drink, I've got to go and get one, or potentially worse, you might try and push through in a dehydrated state, and you're much more likely to injure yourself. You're going to get muscle cramps maybe as well. You know, just hydrate for what it is that you're going to do. You know, on average, we need about 2 liters a day, and that is a sedentary lifestyle. That is before we've moved anywhere, really.
Yeah.
No, it is more if you're walking the dog twice a day, running the hoover around, doing a lot of housework, going out and using the gym, going out for a run. You know, that sort of thing. We use a lot more water, and we've got to replace it as well. You know, we've got to have it coming in, and like we say, just making sure that you've got a water bottle, making sure that you're prepped. You know, that can come in handy. Stuff like protein shakers as well, you know, that we sort of touched on earlier on. Supplements aren't a must. You know, they're called supplements for a reason. They're there to supplement a diet in something that it's a little bit lacking, you know. There are other ways to get that protein and those vitamins and that sort of stuff in. It's just a really convenient way to,
Definitely.
you know, you can have a decent whack of protein. You can essentially have a meal on the way to work if you just got your protein shake ready to go. You know, if you are up and out early, you maybe struggle for breakfast. Maybe you don't have much of an appetite on an evening, but you want some protein to recover while you're asleep. Protein shake's good for that as well, you know. Really convenient, and we've got other supplements that sort of fit in there as well. Just remember that they're all supplements, and just try and look at your diet a little bit first before you really start worrying about, do I need me magnesium? Do I need a zinc supplement? Do I need this? Do I need that? You know, people used to come in the gym, a whole shelf full of products, and they'd say, right, give us this, and this. I'm like, well, have you got a protein first? No, I don't have a protein. I'm like, well, let's sort you out with the protein, send you away with the protein, and then we're going to worry about your aminos, and we're going to worry about this, that, and the other, you know. Again, they're there to supplement a diet, and again, sometimes they can be the right kit, sometimes they're not necessary at all. But a water bottle I would definitely recommend no matter what you're doing. You know, the amount of people that used to turn up for a spin class or a metafit class without a drink. Of course, like I know how important that water is. I'm jumping off my bike every 2 minutes to go and grab someone a refill or something like that, you know. Because you do need it. You're going to really suffer the effects if you don't. Coming back to a towel that we sort of mentioned earlier on, you know, it might not necessarily be for swimming. It might be to wipe down bits of kit after you. You know, it might be for yourself. If you're planning on doing exercise around other people, you might thinking, right, I'm going to sweat a lot. I need a towel, dab myself down. You know, if you've ever followed somebody onto a machine at the gym and it's just left absolutely dripping, it's awful. Do you know what I mean? And you're cursing them under your breath. But you know, especially at the minute, especially when things reopen, we're gonna have to be bang on with hygiene. You know, you're gonna have to be wiping stuff down. It might be a case of taking your own towel. It might be a case of the gym are going to provide stuff. I'm sure all gyms are going to do it differently, but a towel is always handy. You know, I've always found a towel to be quite handy in the gym, even if it's just a little bit of support for an exercise as well. You might not think about it, but if you're laid down on your if you're laid down on your back with your legs straight and you do like a leg raise where you lift your feet off the floor, a lot of people get a lot of pain in their lower back. Yep. Just from having their feet elevated in that position. Even just rolling a towel up and sticking it under your lower back gives you a little bit more, gives you something to press down into, gives you a little bit more of a connection with the floor, and it can ease some of that pain. So I'd always recommend just keeping a towel in your gym bag, wherever it is you're doing. Hatham, I don't know whether you take one out for when you go on a run or anything like that. I imagine that the sweat just freezes to you at the minute. You'll be like him from Batman. You'll be like Mr. Freeze getting back in the house. But yeah, you know, it's always handy to have if you're maybe driving somewhere and going for a run. Leave a towel in the car. You know, be able to just dab yourself off before you drive back. It's always handy to have. Like I say, we want to always make sure we've got the right kit. You know, we've sort of mentioned, if you're going to go swimming, if you're doing anything in the water, a swimsuit's really handy to have. You know, it might just be for, do you know what, you might be thinking to yourself, I'm never going to try swimming. And then you might see an aqua aerobics class. Yeah. You know, that you might really fancy the look of, and you think, all right, you know, I know that water takes the weight a little bit. I know it's going to take some of the strain off my joints and stuff like that. I'm going to give that a go. all of a sudden you've got to go out and get a swimsuit. Maybe you've got to get a shower cap. Maybe you want to get some goggles as well, for your eyes. If you're not really used to being in the water, I think having it splashing up can sort of, it could be quite overwhelming for people as well, if you're not used to it. Again, that's why now is a really good point to be looking at, right, what might work for me, what might I be able to really enjoy and get into, and start looking, because if you wait until swimming baths reopen and then say, oh, I'm going to go swimming now, you've got to go and get all your kit there and then. And as important as all of this kit is, it comes with cost as well. Sometimes we've got to, again, coming back to time management, can you say, right, this month I'm going to get me trainers, next month I'm going to get me joggers, next month after that I'm going to get some supplements, and break that down a little bit in terms of time management. And again, coming back to the prioritizing as well, what's most important, what's going to help me the most at first. But yeah, if you could start looking now, and normally your swimsuit might be out of your budget a little bit, can you put maybe a pound a week aside, towards your swimming cosy or something like that? That's going to be a lot more manageable doing it in small little bits, rather than say, right, I'm swimming now, I'm going to go get this and this, and then you look at it, you price it up, and you realize it's going to cost you whatever, and you think, well, I can't afford that, I can't do that. And again, it just takes the wind right out your sails, especially when you've had it in your mind that you're ready to go there and then. If you can build up to it, you can give yourself more chance to just make sure you've got everything in place.
It's easy to put those obstacles in front of yourself as well, to try and as an excuse not to do stuff.
100%.
And you probably won't even realize you're doing it a lot of the time, but it can just happen because you'd be like, well, I can't do that because I don't have this. So it's
Yeah.
but it's kind of acknowledging that in yourself as well, and thinking, well, I could probably get that.
Well, yeah, it's a case of when you set that target, right, I'm going to go swimming this week. I'm going to go swimming on Saturday. Do you know what I mean? I'm going to go swimming this week. When you set that target, you've got every intention and the motivation is there. Whether that's because it's so far in the future, it doesn't sort of register as, do you know what I mean, something that's sort of imminent, which makes it easier to sort of just sort of put it out of your mind. But when the time comes, especially if you're new to it, if you're nervous about going, if you're a little bit apprehensive, you're going to be looking for an out. You really will. You're going to be looking for a reason not to go, and then justify it as the universe has made that decision for you. Oh, my bus didn't come. I can't get to the swimming baths. Not to mention the fact that you were 5 minutes late to the bus stop.
Yeah.
Accidentally 5 minutes late to the bus stop. It is. Make sure that as the time gets closer, you've got less and less excuse to not follow through with it. Yeah. Because as good as it's going to feel having that out, and you think, oh, phew, I don't have to go tonight, I'll go next week. Maybe it's the next day. It might even be that evening. You're sitting there feeling guilty and thinking, you know what, I should have gone, really. I really wish I'd gone. Next week, you're in that position where you're thinking to yourself, you've got the same decision next week, haven't you? Because it's your first time. It's like, right, I'm going to go through the same processes this week. Whereas once you've done it and it's out the way, that first one, then barriers are going to get in the way a lot less, because you're going to realize that the whole experience isn't as bad as you think it's going to be.
Exactly. No.
You keep talking yourself out of that first time of going, it's just going to get harder and harder to eventually go. Right, where are we? I sort of mentioned stuff like scarves, hats, gloves. If we're getting out and walking, stuff like that. Can we think of any more between us? Can we think of any more sort of kit, depending on what activities we might be doing? Bearing in mind that some activities are going to need less, some are going to need more than others.
Yeah, I guess obviously weights belt, if you're doing stuff that's going to support you, like your lumbar, if you're going to do any kind of heavy lifting.
Yeah, definitely, man.
So that's definitely a good one, and like a helmet if you're going to do any kind of it's not essential. Well, I mean, it depends where you're going on your bike, really. If you're going to do some like trails and stuff like that, it might be worth getting a helmet.
Yeah, definitely helmet. Again, depending on where you're going, if you're doing sort of like forest path stuff like that, how likely are you to come off? Maybe it's even want elbow pads and knee pads, man.
Yeah.
I already had mine on earlier when I put my helmet on. I'd already done my knee pads off camera, man.
That's it. Yeah, definitely.
But yeah, anything like that, again, talking about getting out into nature, we've talked on sort of walking boots. Again, think about your limitations as well. Can you realistically say to yourself, right, I'm going to go do a 10-mile walk on day one? It might be nice, it might look nice on paper. A family or friend might have said, you know what, we did this walk, it was absolutely lovely. You've got to think about your own limitations as well, and some kit can help out with that. I'd mentioned that me mum and dad's been doing a lot of walking and they've been really getting into it. Now, what we're finding is that tends to be one of them needs to stop for a break before the other one. So what I did for Christmas, I got them. It's a stool that pretty much folds up into a frisbee.
Right.
You can get them plastic cups that kind of pull out of themselves into a pint glass.
Yes, there.
Yeah. It's a stool. It does one of them. You pull it out and twist it and lock it, and you can actually sit down pretty much anywhere. If it is cloudy, if there's mud all over the place, you can actually take a little bit of a break, a little bit of a breather, and then when you're done, unclip it, fold it up. It's that thick, and then it just clips to your backpack, and away you go again. Stuff like that can really help. It's not essential. It's not essential by any means at all. Your first bit of advice would be to say, rather than buying more kit, can you just maybe be a little bit more realistic with your walks and stuff like that? But there's other kit out there that can help with stuff like that as well. Maybe help you walk that little bit further. It could be a walking stick, and I'm not talking like your typical sort of walking stick that you might think when we're maybe struggling to walk around the house and around the shops and stuff like that, but like a hiking stick.
Yeah, definitely.
And again, I've seen hiking sticks that have got a little fold down chair on the side now, so you can sort of just pop the end into the floor and grab yourself a little seat if you need it. So even just thinking about walking, there's that much kit that we can use.
Totally.
From a sports point of view, again, thinking about things opening up again, are you going down to the local tennis court, the local basketball court, local little football pitch, AstroTurf, anything like that? Of course, you've got to have the kit, you've got to have a ball. We used to even just use jumpers for goalposts. That's what we used to do, jumpers for goalposts. But of course, the more kit you can have some cones out, anything like that. We used to go down and play a Saturday morning league, and obviously there's no actual pitch down there. We're just on like a big field. So the guys that organised it would go down early morning, set the cones out. We don't have to think about it. But if you're organising something like this, or saying to your mates, do you know what, let's do this for a bit crack. Of course, you've got to make sure that you've got all the equipment there for that as well. Again, rackets. If you go into the squash court, have you got your own racket? Anything like that. You can go. You go bowling. You go and you're in shoes. You go sort of anything like that. But you go to a tennis court, they're not going to lend you tennis rackets. You've got to have your kit to take that down there as well. So there's a lot of stuff.
Yeah, if you're going like rambling, if you're going on any long walks, or if you're going like to the lakes, or even just anywhere kind of nearby Northumberland or something like that, definitely I would say bring a backpack all the time, because you definitely want that, because you want to be able to put your water in it, you want to be able to put some food in it, and because you don't know how long you're going to be walking for, and if you end up getting hungry or anything like that, it's if you think I'm starving, you're kind of in the middle of nowhere, it can be a bit dangerous even. So I would definitely say make sure you bring water 100%, and a backpack with food in it, and whatever else you might need, some an extra pair of clothes or something like that, because it can get quite cold as well.
Yeah, an extra layer, Yeah. At the same time, if you're getting warm as you're building up body heat, you can take that extra layer off, put it in your bag. You've not necessarily got to carry it.
Yeah, exactly.
I absolutely love getting my backpack kitted up before we go on a walk. Maybe just chuck like a handful of nuts in. Just so you've got like some trail mix or something to snack on. Exactly. If you do need something that's quite calorific, because I don't think, because we don't necessarily get on a huge sweat when we're walking around the house, and we don't feel that out of breath, and we can walk to the shop and back pretty comfortably. I don't think we realise how strenuous it can be to do that repeatedly over 10 miles or however far it might be, and you get so far and you start thinking to yourself, do you know what, I'm absolutely starving, and I've got 5 mile walk back to the car. Do you know what I mean? Like, it's a long way, and like you say, buddy, it can start to get dangerous, being dehydrated, being sort of underfed, being in a weakened state out in nature. Nature's pretty unforgiving at the end of the day, and we've got to make sure we've got the kit for that as well. So yeah, definitely a backpack. Maybe it's not quite as essential, but I always swear by a little speaker as well. You got to have your little walking tune. 100%, mate. Okay, cool. So we'll roll on to the next slide, then, buddy. Unless you guys can think of anything else, I know Gaz has mentioned all of his kit that he uses. yeah, you want to be warm when you're getting out. When you're getting out, especially at the minute. It's just stopped snowing. It's just stopped snowing this morning as well. I might actually get out this afternoon.
That's started here, yeah, but we'll see.
Yeah, it's coming. It's on its way, mate.
Love that.
It's on its way. But yeah, there's a lot of stuff that we're going to need depending on what it is that we're going to do. Even just trying to think out the box a little bit before we spin on. It might be could be dancing. Do you know what I mean? You could take up like a dancing class, or you maybe getting dancing lessons with your partner, something like that. Again, you're going to need the right footwear. You're going to need the right clothes for that. I've seen lads turn up at the gym in jeans and polo shirts. I don't know whether it's like straight from work or what. Like, there wasn't much legs got trained.
Yeah,
I can tell you that there wasn't much legs. 2 seconds, buddy.
Squats and jeans.
Yeah. 2 seconds, man. I'll just flick my charger on.
Yeah, no worries, man.
There we go. Can't have the laptop dying, man. but yeah, I'd see them come in the jeans, and I think, oh, they're going to go get changed. I'll see them in a minute. And like, no, just over to the squat rack, and away they go. And, I never really found any health and safety reasons to say to people, look, you can't train in jeans. But it's not practical.
Yeah.
It's really not practical. You're not going to get your full range. You're not going to get your mobility. You're maybe going to be a little bit more... you're going to be a little bit more restricted in your movements, stuff like that. So yeah, even when it comes to the gym, you're thinking to yourself, you've got to have the right kit. Okay, buddy, let's spin on. I've turned the wrong thing on. Hang on 2 seconds.
Yeah, sorry, man.
There we go.
So yeah.
Cool. Yeah, sweet. Right, buddy, spinning on them, mate. Spinning on. We're going to look at that self-reflection. So I know we've mentioned it a little bit this morning, and how important it is, but we sort of opened up today's session talking about responsibilities that comes from the trainer, and from yourself. Whatever fitness it is that you're doing. If you're there by yourself, of course, all the responsibilities on yourself to make sure that you're safe. If you're at a class or a fitness group or something like that at the gym, that responsibility is still with you, but there's shared responsibility with other people then as well. So can we think off the top of our heads any examples where you might have followed instructions, taken part in a fitness session? It might be one that you've done before in the past. It could just be from when you've been at the gym or something like that, and they've maybe given you some instructions to follow or something. So we've got there already, sort of setting up equipment. It might be a case of a gym instructor saying, right, this is how this bit of kit works. And then you follow those instructions in your own fitness session. Like I used to go around at the start of every like boot camp or anything I'd be doing, and I would demonstrate every exercise, so I knew that everybody had seen it all done. I'd say I know everybody had seen every exercise done properly, done safely, and it gives me a little bit of peace of mind being one pair of eyes watching 20 people. Again, it's my responsibility to make sure everybody's all right, but it's also on that person to make sure they're using the kit the way that I've just sort of told them or showed them. Mm-hmm. So Gary just mentioned there pool safety as well. You might even just be at the swimming baths, and you might be obviously no running a poolside. That's the big one, isn't it?
Yeah.
No running a poolside, stuff like that. Maybe no cannonballs, no cannonballs allowed. Anything like that, and especially like I say, as we go back to normal and things reopen, we are going to have a lot more sort of instructions to follow, especially regarding sort of COVID and hygiene and stuff like that. We're going to have to, I can't see it being any other way for a good while. Yeah. Okay, what else have we got on there? What else have we got? So following the rules of the sport, that's instruction as well, You go down to your local five-a-side arena or like soccer arena or something like that. I think there's one in Sunderland near Bede College. Can't think what it's called now. Goals or something like that. But you go down.
Yeah, I know that one.
I think you go down anywhere like that. Like obviously football tournaments, stuff like that. You pick the ball up and just run up the far end. You're probably not going to be invited back. There's rules within certain sports, within certain activities, and even though we might follow them without really thinking about it, that's still following instruction that's been set out. Which is a skill. It's a skill at the end of the day, being able to take instructions and sort of follow them. Especially when you think in a workplace environment, something like that, that sort of thing will transfer over really well. And we've got altering technique and body position as well. Quite often I just walk past someone doing an exercise and say, push your chest out a little bit more, or keep your chest up, or keep your chin up, or something like that. That little tweak is doing exactly the same thing. You're following instruction in the name of doing stuff safely, and making sure that everybody around you is safe as well as yourself. Because training in a group environment, we're responsible for other people's health as well. If one of the boot camp or one of the circuit stations is on the squat rack, and you've loaded a load of weights onto each side, take them off again before like someone else is going to follow you on as well. Because all you need is somebody to follow who's not as strong as you. They go to lift a 20 off the side, and that throws their back out. They haven't even got to do the exercise. So we're responsible for other people's safety as well. But yeah, anything like little change in your technique, anything like that, it's just taking instruction and following them. Okay, I know Gaza said pool safety. Can we think of any others? Shut that blind while you're having a little think.
No worries, mate. Yeah. Let's have a look. See if we've got any more in the old chat there. One that Rob was mentioning. Well, the next one on the list there, putting the free weights back. Man, that is like one of the biggest pet peeves for me in the gym. Before, when like you go to find a weight, you want to do dumbbell press. You find, well, okay, he's one of the weights I want to use. Where's the other one? And you have to look around like a half, you have to look around the whole gym just to find the other weight because someone's like took it and like doing curls with it or something.
Yeah, they've got like every single weight from the 10s down to the 1s, just like
exactly
piled around them. You don't know what they're using. You don't know what they're not using.
Exactly.
These are sometimes not the most approachable people in the world either to go over and say, are you done with the 2s? Do you know what I mean? That is an absolutely massive one. Again, moving on to the health and safety side of things a little bit more, I know Gaz has mentioned no running the pull side. We've said putting free weights back once they're used. Those are two really big ones in making sure not only that you're safe, but other people in the environment are safe as well. Like the amount of times I've nearly rolled over a weight or something that's been left out.
Yeah.
Certainly a difficult job to do with a broken leg.
Yeah. Definitely.
Yeah,
people putting them back in the wrong place as well. That annoys me. Where it's like, they'll be say there's like, there's 2 weights. It'll be labeled like 20s or whatever, and then it's like if someone puts one in a totally different place, like on the opposite side of the gym, and it's like,
Yeah, or even just on like the weight trees, like the racks. They'll put them on and there'll be a 2.5 and they'll chuck a 15 on top, then a 20 on top of that, then a 10 on top of that.
Yeah.
These have got to go on their own separate things. Like,
yeah.
Because then, again, someone comes along and they want the 2.5 and they've got to haul all the rest of them off. You've got to go through like 50 kilograms worth of weight to get to the light weight. It's going to be strenuous for you to lift. You know what I mean?
Exactly.
It's insane. It's just so sort of like one track mind, like that's me done. I'm going to go home now. Do you know what I mean? I'm going to leave that, and everybody else can lift the same weight as me. And that's not the case. That's not the case. We'd mentioned sort of the leg press. I'm sure people just use the leg press as a place to store like the 20 kilograms.
Yeah.
And then like again, you see someone come to use them and they've got to take like nigh on 200 kilograms of weight off.
I know. Yeah. That's
it.
Yeah, you're totally right. Because I've seen that before, where there'll be like a 5 or a 2K plate at the very bottom on the press or something, and then like there's like 320s like over it. It's like you have to take all them off just to get the.
Yes, it's a nightmare. It's like I just want that little polo. Like that's all I want. That's all I need. And it's probably worth mentioning as well while we're on the subject, when you're taking weights off of a bar that you've used, take it evenly off both sides. Don't take all the weight off one side
Yeah.
first. Because obviously if you take all the weight off one side and the weight's all on the other side, what's it going to do? It's going to pop up. And chances are, if you've taken the weight off this side, you stood on this side. I saw one lad once take the bar, popped right up and hit him there. He so close to getting in the eyeball. And he had 80 kg on each side. He had 80 kilograms on each side of the bar. He stripped 80 off one side, and the other side just went back, and just like that was it. And I think he didn't even realize what had happened, and it was over. And I never saw him after that. You know, not only is it dangerous, you know, nobody, of course, wants to be that person on the gym floor. Yeah. You know, I'm sure he went elsewhere and found another gym to train in. As I'm sure you would after something like that. So yeah, word of advice: if you're stripping down a weight bar, anything like that, take it evenly off both sides. You know, you can maybe get away with 5-10 kilogram sort of deficit. So the nature of taking it off one side at a time, I guess. But just don't do all on one side first, because that's gonna hurt, and it's gonna hurt definitely. Gary's just mentioned there. Another time taking instruction and thinking about technique and stuff like that is boxing. You know, if you go to a boxercise class, or if you start doing any boxing, I've noticed a lot more these last few years. People that have never really done boxing training for like them charity fights. You know, they'll do like a charity dinner where they'll just get loads of non-boxers and they'll do like a whole evening. You know, they'll put like maybe a 3-course meal on. They get the people out in different rounds. I trained a lad for one once, and it was just he'd never really been bothered about boxing. He'd never really been into that sort of thing. He just did it for the charity, you know. And of course, like Gary mentions there, the first thing you're going to want to know is how to punch and not smash your thumb up. Exactly, you know. Yeah. Again, day one, if you go along, and you will get that instruction from the instructor. It's up to you if you listen to it or not. If you don't, it's probably only going to go one way as well. Gary says the other lad doesn't want to be known as the 80 kilogram slaphead. Yeah, pretty much, yeah. Because like it wouldn't surprise me if that mark on his face like scarred as well. Yeah. You know, it was a decent cut. Like to say, it was just the end of the bar hit him. So, you know, he's been lucky not to lose an eye, and he's probably marked for life. I mean, just it's a lapse of concentration. That's all it takes.
I remember being like young in the gym, like when I was like maybe 19 or something, and like there's always a time if you do too much on bench, and I had a spotter, but they were pulling for it. There was two. I don't know what, because we were kids at the time, obviously, but I had like two sorts of pulling it from each side, like two people spotting it, which for a start's stupid anyway. You should have someone pulling from the middle, I guess, right? And then obviously someone like kind of didn't pick it up fully, and then the on the barbell the weights just went which is like, it's a safety mechanism, but it's just so, and you don't get hurt, but it's so loud in the gym and everyone looks at you immediately, and it's just like it's awkward. But
well, that's your last set of the day, isn't it? That's your last set of the day. You're going home after that.
I don't know, obviously, Rob, you can correct me if I'm wrong here, but I think that's why maybe it's sometimes wise not to put the clips on if you're doing bench, especially if it's heavy. I mean, you should have a spotter, but if all fails, you can just kind of tip the weights out if you can't get it back up again. Well, I mean, is that right? Am I saying the right stuff there? I don't know, but that's just from...
I would say that would be an option. It wouldn't necessarily be your first option. Your first option obviously is going to be a weight that you can manage.
Definitely, yeah.
The second option is going to be one single spotter.
Yeah.
Beyond that, can you use the Smith machine? Now, if you're not familiar with the Smith machine, what it is, it's exactly the same as a barbell that you would use on a bench, but it's set on a pair of runners. It can only go straight up and down, and the bar rotates and clips on to the runners. So if you were to get down to chest height and you go to push and you can clip it back on, let go of it, and it's not going to go anywhere, and you just slide out from underneath. If you're going to go heavy on a bench press without a spotter, that's where you need to be doing it.
Yeah.
What you're saying about getting the weights off either end of the bar, it is a safety mechanism, that you only need if you put yourself in that position where you need that safety mechanism. I guess at the end of the day, it is going to happen. It is going to happen, I don't normally like the idea of lifting anything above yourself without the clips on, but when the alternative would be potentially getting pinned, and then wishing to yourself, I wish I could roll and get the weights off either side, Yeah, I would say that having the clips on maybe isn't as important as something like an overhead press where you're literally pushing above head,
So yeah,
because you really don't want to something to clock you on the way down on the head or anything like that. But yeah, if all else fails, if you haven't got any of those other options, my first bit of advice would be maybe think about training something else until you've got the spotter there,
for sure.
until you can get on the Smith machine for definite. Um, it's frustrating because if you're thinking to yourself, right, I want to go as heavy as I can, you want to do that thing first while you're still fresh when you get to the gym.
Yeah,
If you're trying to set a new 1 rep max or get your 5 reps out or something like that, you do want to do it while you're fresh. You don't necessarily want to say like, oh, I'll come back later in my session.
yeah,
Do you know what I mean? I'll go and do all my drop sets first and then come back and try and do a load of heavy lifting. You're not going to lift as much as you might be able to. But yeah, there are other ways to do it. There really are.
yeah. So Rob made some excellent points there, and I think that like I have to do dumbbell press anyway. I can't really do barbell because it gives me shoulder pain. But with dumbbell press as well, I found that it's less, it's less risky for me. Where if I can't get it up, it doesn't really, because I just put it back down on my chest, and it doesn't really, it's not as
Yeah, yeah.
worrying.
Yeah, or worst case scenario, they go either side, don't they?
Yeah, yeah, yeah,
They go if you've got the dumbbells and you can't get them up, it's like drop, and you're out.
yeah,
I've mentioned quite a few times about using dumbbells just to get each arm working independently, rather
yeah,
than if you've got a barbell. If you're left-handed like I am, I'd feel my left arm doing more work than the right. If you've got a dumbbell in each hand, one side can't coast off the other as well, and you're not at risk of getting trapped underneath the bar as well. So if you're really adamant on going heavy, you've just got to say to yourself, look, I can't get on the bit of kit that I need. I can't do it the way I normally do it. I need to not think about my maximum weight that I normally lift on this exercise, because it is not going to transfer across. If you do 100 kilograms on a barbell, you're not going to pick up 250 dumbbells
yeah.
and start pressing. You just not, you've got to be just a little bit more realistic with your expectations. Just say, I'll get back to that next week.
Definitely.
And maybe just take the hit and use dumbbells, because I swear by dumbbells quite a lot for a lot of stuff.
Yeah, it's terrifying as well. I've been in the gym where I've seen other people, and the weights just fell off the bar, and it's just such a loud smash, and it's like it echoes throughout the whole gym.
It is always when the gym's busy as well.
Yeah.
Always when the gym's busy. Because it'll be International Chest Day, won't it? It'll be on a Monday. Everybody's rammed in. Everybody's rammed in on a Monday. You want to start doing it on a Friday? There's no point in the gym on a Friday.
That's the thing. Honestly, though, mate, what you say, it's crazy though, because like literally, I found that I'd started to go like Monday, it was just mayhem, and then Friday night was pretty okay because everyone was going out, and then Saturday I think everyone was hungover. So Saturday was always the best time for me. Going like Saturday kind of daytime, usually it was perfect.
Yeah, that's it. Well, there could be a lot said for that as well. Just before we move on, you can, that's a really good point, mate. Yeah. Right, where we at? Oh yeah, then yeah. Sorry, one last thing before we do roll on. Was looking at reflective clothing as well. It's a really big one that I wanted to make sure that we talked about, especially if we are walking and running at the minute. If you go after work, it's already dark at the minute. 5 o'clock, it's dark. Do you really want to be out on the roadside without reflective gear on? For other potentially other cyclists to see people walking the dog, because that's all it takes. Like, we were out for a walk the other week, and we were walking like into the sun. Obviously, obscures your vision a little bit.
Yeah.
And like, next thing I know, I just heard this voice, and this bloke just shot past us on his bike, and it was like, I didn't even see him coming. I just didn't even see him coming at all. And like, of course, he was coming away from the sun, so he could probably see us. But that's literally all it takes. Just somebody not to be able to see you, and then you've got maybe a handful of people on the way to A&E, which is the last thing that we need at the minute.
Exactly.
100%. I mean, even just little injuries that are going to set you back around the house. At the minute, it's not really realistic to say, oh, I've broke my leg, I can't do the hoovering in the dust, and can so-and-so come and help us? Because no, not at the minute. Really, in a lot of cases, we're having to just isolate and rely on the people under our own roof, which in some cases is just ourselves.
Yeah, and when it's so slippery with all the frost and all of the like ice on the floor. Like
Yeah,
it's especially worrying, man. I remember when I
yeah,
broke my ankle last year. Oh god, I cringe every time I think about it. Just hearing the click, I heard the crack. It was horrible, and that was pretty, wet. It was wet grass, and I went to
right.
turn playing football, and obviously my legs just went out from under me, but my ankle just stayed down, so it just went and
Yeah. Oh
heard the
man.
crack, and that honestly, you can
Oh,
never forget that sound. Literally
yeah,
hearing the like crack, and it was like I knew at that point, and it just swelled up like a balloon.
yeah, yeah. Like it's easy done. It really is easily done. You know. Especially thinking about the conditions that you're playing in as well. Like
Yeah,
I remember we'd say we used to play Saturday morning football, and we'd gone up one week, and the it was called off because the ground was frozen. Like
yeah.
the ground was solid, and the guys that ran it said, "Look, we can't do it this week. It's not safe." So they left. So then you leave 20 lads alone that have turned up for football on a pitch for 2 goals, and they were up and ready to play football. So it was like, oh, do you know what? We'll just hang about. And it was like being on ice. It was like being on ice because we all had studs on.
Yeah.
And I went in on a tackle on this one lad, and he landed on the back of my head and smashed me face first into
Oh
the frozen
man.
floor, mate. Frozen floor. Like my
Oh,
face exploded. Like my dad thought I'd been fighting when I got in. That
oh
was the
man.
first thing he said. He really did. But honestly, mate, I'd gone to like the public toilet. That looked like a murder scene when I left. That was like literally just from not really thinking about the environment that we were playing in as well. I was like, I've got out of bed on my Saturday morning to go and play some football, and I've come home like this.
There's nothing worse as well when it's like that cold. Like if the ball like slaps off your bare skin, just the feeling of how much it
Oh,
stings. It's
yeah,
horrible.
yeah, man. Yeah, yeah. Come on, man. Like, you get welt.
Yeah.
Like, yeah. Oh, you know about it. Yeah, you really do know about it. All right, guys. Let's spin on from there then. So, given everything that we've just sort of been through, everything we've touched on this morning, we should be able to look at and complete page 6 of the taking part in the exercise and fitness booklet. Just before we finish up, after we've done these next couple of slides, I'll just ask Daniel to pull that up quick,
Yeah.
so we can just get a look at those. So just spinning on to that last proper slide that we've got to work from. We're looking at sort of improving our own strengths, because one of the big reasons for self-reflection is to sort of analyze where you can improve, maybe it's where you need to improve, because there might not necessarily be one and the same. Where you want to improve might be totally different as well, so there's a couple of examples on there. Just think about which of those might come naturally to you. Have you tried any of them before? How did you get on with them? Did you find them really difficult? Did anything put you off doing them ever again? Because of course we're all built differently. We've talked about body types and body shapes and stuff like that. We're all naturally suited, I would say, to different sort of stuff. So I mean, looking at that there, and that pretty just off the top of my head, like, I'm not a bad swimmer. I've done like a little bit of scuba diving in my day. I wouldn't like to get in against Michael Phelps, but I'm quite confident in the water. I quite enjoy being in the water. Then you look at stuff like just strength. I would say I've always been pretty strong for my size, but when you stack up compared to somebody else, strength's not my bag. It's not my natural strong point at the end of the day. If I was to go into a strongman competition, you get absolutely annihilated. There's people doing these competitions that are 2 or 3 times my weight, and at the end of the day, you just can't compete with that much mass, being able to move that much mass. So for me to say, look, I'm going to take up a career in powerlifting, again, like, I'm never going to say to somebody your body type or your ability, say that you can't do it. If you enjoy it, go and do it. You don't have to be good at it to get enjoyment out of something, but of course, it's just analyzing your strengths. This isn't self-reflecting to say, what can I do and what can't I do? It's to think to yourself, what would I need to get better at before I start to do that, if that's something that you really want to do. I know Gary's mentioned squats, little crying face. I imagine that squats maybe aren't one of your favorites to do, buddy. Again, legs day is not the nicest to do in the world. It's a big muscle group to hit. You know, squats are a big compound exercise that take a lot of effort. They take a lot of they put a lot of strain on your system. You know, if you're trying to get stronger, it's quite handy to do them heavy squats. Again, if you're not training for strength, you don't need to be squatting 100 kilograms. You know, come down to 50k and do more of them. Go body weight and do even more of them. You know, if all you're trying to do is tone up. The amount of people that I see that just use squats as like a glute exercise. You know, where I was thinking, well, it's working your quads and your hamstrings as well. If you just want glute exercises, do kickbacks, do a bridge. You know, squats are bringing in your whole lower body, which is why you can sometimes get that nauseous sort of sick feeling.
Oh,
you
man,
know, because you're using so much muscle and producing that much lactic acid in one go. If your body's not used to clearing it, it's got to come out another way, and your stomach will just eject itself.
So many times. Well, like, not so much now because I don't ever push myself to that limit. But when I was like super banging into training, and I just remember walking home in the whole way, just trying not to throw up after like every squat. But I never do that now. But it used to be horrible.
Yeah, the drive home used to get me because I used to work in a gym in Sunderland, and I'd train last thing and then drive 40 minutes home. So by the time you got home, you've sat and done nothing for 40 minutes. Honestly, mate. Honestly, I was like stiff as a board getting out the car at the other end.
I bet, man.
Honestly. But again, that was, you know, young, daft, didn't realise the benefits of cooling down beforehand. Maybe jumping on the treadmill, letting me blood get to where it should be rather than where it was, you know. And again, it's all a learning curve, you know, and I've made mistakes over the years that I'm happy to pass on so no one else makes the same mistakes, because that is awful, absolutely awful. You know, Gary's mentioned squats there. You know, we can maybe have a look. I think my missus would tell you that my reaction time's terrible sometimes. You know, absolutely dire. There's sometimes when I'm sort of like quite quick off the mark. But I would never like make a goalkeeper. My reflexes aren't that quick. You know, they're just needing to adjust to that sort of thing.
That's it, man.
Certain sports and certain positions in sports that are just that would just be no good for me. You know, again, if you really enjoy them, go for it. You know, if you're thinking to yourself, do you know what, it'd be nice to do something I feel like half decent at, and maybe it's a little bit more sort of naturally inclined to, this is where this sort of thing can help out, and you can look and say, right, where are my strengths? You know, Gary says he remembers walking home like John Wayne. Yeah, that'll do it. That'll do it. Legs day. Legs day. Yeah, definitely. Okay, so we can say some people are good at individual exercises such as squats, while others are more confident in strength, endurance in general, you know. I think I'd mentioned before, we had this PT challenge that we did in the gym year before last now. And what it was different challenges each week, and it was just whoever got the best, whoever, you know, whoever did the most pull-ups in 2 minutes, or whoever climbed the most flights of stairs on this on the Stairmaster or whatever. And we did 1 week that was cycling on what we call a watt bike, which it generates and calculates how much electrical sort of energy you're outputting in wattage, you know, like you would get with like a light bulb or something like that. And the aim of the game was kind of like a spin bike where you could make the resistance harder. Now, of course, the higher the resistance was, the more energy you would be outputting. Yeah, because you're working against a tighter sort of crank sort of thing. So I was thinking to myself, right, I'm good at spin. I teach spin 3 times a week. This is just cycling. This will be quite natural to me. But me jumping on and cycling at the level that I would normally be spinning against wasn't generating that much wattage. Whereas the other lads with bigger, stronger legs could jump on and turn that wattage right up and pedal at half the speed, but they were cranking out more energy.
Yeah.
You know? And when I that sort of made me realize, you know, I totally underestimated it. I was thinking of it as an endurance challenge.
Yeah.
When really I should have been really good at that. And then, like I say, it turned out to be more strength and power. Which again, you know, I'm the first one I put my hands up and say that's not my forte. You know, it's not my strong point. And again, just realizing that different stuff used in different ways can actually hit them different components that we've talked about.
So killer. So I bet it was killer then.
Confession, right? Confession. Just before we do move on, because the screen told you your average at the minute, the other 2 lads had gone first, so I knew their average.
Yeah.
So when I dropped below their average with 10 minutes still left to pedal, it's so disheartening, man, because I was thinking, I have to work harder than this for the next 10 minutes. I've already done 10 minutes. And my Mrs. Alex was working in the coffee shop next door.
Yeah,
She actually came through and pep talked me through the last 10 minutes. She had to. She had to, because I was just like, you know what it's like? It's just, right, I'm not going to catch them. I may as well just leave it here. And then at the same time, I was like, you know what? I'd like to finish and see where I am, because that's where your competition is. It's yourself, really, at the end of the day.
Yeah, that's a really good point, man. Yeah.
I got it done. I was glad, and I was grateful for the pep talk. I really was. But yeah, you know, that these different things tax your body in such different ways. You know, so like, say if you've gone to a spin class and yeah, it's not been for you, that doesn't necessarily mean that cycling's not for you. You know, it'll test you in a different way altogether.
Definitely.
You know, and another thing to think about is what do you enjoy? You know, I've mentioned that before. You know, it might be a sport, it might be a fitness class, like especially at the minute, like if you're into something like basketball or something like football, if you can go out once a day to do a little bit of exercise, there's no reason why you can't maybe take yourself off round to the little local. Do you know what I mean? They're almost like little arenas, aren't they? Do you know what I mean? They've got like fencing around. There might be like a couple of goals in there. There might be a couple of basketball hoops. Like sort of one at each end. Yeah. There's nothing that says if you go out right now, you've got to run or walk necessarily. As long as you're doing something that's activity and it's exercise, people can't really have any complaints about that. You know, so if it's stuff that you enjoy, I mean, it might even just be you find housework therapeutic. You know,
for sure.
You know, I know we've sort of mentioned before about maybe just pick one day of the week and say, right, Monday I'm going to clean this room. You know, if you sort of find that therapeutic and you're sort of getting the, it's good to feel like you're achieving something and getting on top of the house a little bit. You know, you might find that you enjoy that. Enjoy probably a loose term for housework and stuff like that, but you might be able to really engage you in that as your exercise. You might be able to think, right, while I while I'm cleaning the stairs or whatever, you know, or even just again while tea's cooking. Do you know what I mean? While tea's cooking, I've got 10 minutes while that pot's boiling. Can I use this time to get as many of this circuit in as possible? Set yourself a little challenge, you know. Could just be something like 20 star jumps, 10 squats, 5 burpees. Yeah. And then any time during that 10 minutes that your pan's boiling, anytime you need to rest. Other than that, work through your circuit and see how many times you can get. You're doing that at the same time as doing your housework, you know. And again, it comes back to that time management as well. You know, I'd always say to people, if you start watching something at home, and the commercial break comes on, you know, you've got at least 5 minutes that they're going to be chucking adverts down your neck. See how many times you can get up and down the stairs, see how many star jumps you can do, see how many lengths of the house you can get in, you know, anything. Can you get round the block and back in time? There's a lot of stuff we can do sort of amongst other stuff, and that sort of links in with that multitasking that we talked about earlier as well, you know, and just being able to sort of divide and conquer a little bit and just be a little bit more strategic with it. But yeah, the activities that you enjoy are going to have a big sort of impact on certainly the activities that you're going and trying to engage in and stuff like that. So yeah, it's important to just think about your strengths and stuff like that before we really decide on what we're going to do. If there's something that you do particularly enjoy, what are your strengths? You know, what makes you good at that? Are you weightlifting? You know, are you just naturally quite strong? Have you got broad shoulders? You know. There's a lot of stuff. As at 5-a-side, I was always quite quick. I was. Do you know what I mean? I was always pretty sort of like up and down the pitch, quite fit, that sort of thing. And like I said, different roles in different sports lend themselves to different sort of attributes as well. You know, exactly, we've talked before. You know, coming back at the basketball, you've got a point guard. He's going to be probably quite short. He's going to be quite nippy, agile, off the ball movements. And then you've got somebody like Shaquille O'Neal who's just going to stand there and say, right, move me then. Move me. Do you know what I mean? And that's kind of what you want your centre to be. Someone who's able to take that sort of physical battering a little bit more. So again, you know, you might have different attributes that just help you be good at these activities that you enjoy. And then there's the flip side of the coin. You know, it's like, what areas do you need to work on that'll help you improve that activity? Because if you enjoy something, I think it's natural to only want to be better and better at it. You know, be it a hobby, be it a sport, anything like that. You know, so if you think to yourself, right, I want to get into maybe a little bit of swimming or something like that. when things open up again. But right now, even just going up the stairs leaves me out of breath. I wouldn't feel comfortable getting in the water. Then you go, right, hang on a second, I can maybe work on that cardiovascular fitness in the meantime.
Yeah.
So, when I get there and I get in and I can actually do a few lengths without maybe getting in doing one length and going like I'm out of breath. This is really disheartening now. All of a sudden, I've been building this up in my head, and now I'm feeling like I can't do it. Set yourself up for success. Think about the components of fitness that you're going to need, and the areas that you need within your own fitness for these activities, and then you can really start to just work on them. Get better at them. I know Haytham's mentioned doing like a lot of the running that he does as well. Playing football, other sports. Another one that I think we mentioned the other week. Michael Jordan in The Last Dance. There was one off season he was getting absolutely bullied for his size.
Yep.
He'd been annihilated on the court the season before. Skill wise, absolutely brilliant player, but he realised in order to be the best, he's got to go and work away on his physical strength.
Definitely.
and his conditioning, and that makes a lot of difference as well, So yeah, just being able to look at, right, I enjoy this, I'm good at this aspect of it. Maybe how do I improve? You've got to be a little bit honest with yourself. You've got to be humble, and make them changes. Especially if you want to succeed. So yeah, I think it's really important to just have just that little bit of self-reflection to be able to think about, right, what am I good at? What do I enjoy doing? Definitely, how can I pair those things together? And what's going to be suitable for me as well. And it only comes through that self-reflection, really, and maybe a little bit of trial and error. You might find something that you're really keen to go and try. You might get there, and you might just decide it's not for you. I'd always say maybe try something once or twice, just before you decide whether you're going to bin it off or not. It only takes one bad session, and you're not going to want to go back, and might not be indicative of how it normally is.
That's a good point, mate.
Yeah. But I'm aware that is sometimes all it takes. Sometimes. Okay, so that there should give us enough to work on page 8 of the Taking Part in Exercise and Fitness workbook as well. So we should be getting there with that one. Daniel, just before you pull that up for us, buddy, if you could just spin up on that last slide just so we can have a look. And again, just for anybody that is coming back and revisiting these sessions, this last slide works quite well to just remind you where we're at with stuff, what maybe sort of like the homework was. But first of all, thank you for tuning in. Please don't forget to take just 30 seconds to fill in the survey. It makes our job so much easier, and your feedback's really important to us as well. It means a lot. So for this week, we're going to be looking at pages 6 and 8 of your Taking Part in Exercise and Fitness workbook before the next session, which will be next week. So yeah, next session is next Wednesday, 10 till 12, same time. I think we've got 2 left to do. 2 left to do on this course. Let's finish up strong. If you're having trouble with any of the workbooks or anything like that, get in touch. If there's any workbooks or anything that you're missing, please let me know and I'll get them over to you. And again, when I've got all the sessions for this course in one place with the surveys, I'll just send them out to everybody who is you're missing. Please let me know and I'll get back and just make sure we've got everything ticked off. Other than that, buddy, anything from you, mate?
Well, yeah, I'm just going to post. We've got the links for the survey it's in the description, and I'm going to post that in the chat as well, just so you guys have got it.
Cool.
And then also I'm going to post we've got the YouTube video for the workout vid as well today, so I'm just going to post that it's in the description, but I'm also going to post
cool.
in the chat there, so you've got I've just posted into the chat. We've got the YouTube video and we've got the survey for today's section, so they're both there in the description and in the chat there in case you guys need them. So
awesome, amazing, buddy. Thank you very much. Cool. Right. As always, enjoy the fitness video. Give it a go. Let us know how you get on. A bit of a tougher one today. So remember, there's always like a revised option of each exercise. If you're hitting the same exercise or just 1 or 2 exercises that you always seem to be struggling with, give me a shout. My email's there, and I'll try and find something else for you to do that's going to be a little bit more manageable, But as always, reach out if you've got any questions, and have a good week as always.
Perfect.
Cool.
Yeah. Awesome.
All right, guys.
Thanks a lot, guys.